Efuna's father kicked her out of the house and disowned her because she got pregnant out of wedlock. Everyone pleaded with him and begged him to forgive her, including his wife, Mama Efuna, and his best friend, Mr. Andrew. But her father stood his ground. 3 years later, he lived to regret it when Efuna returned with a shocking revelation. What secret did Efuna bring back after all those years? And how will her father react when the truth finally comes out? Let's dive into this story that will leave you in awe and shock. In the quiet village of Uzoma, there lived a very sweet, cheerful, and beautiful girl named Efuna. Efuna was just 17 years old. She had bright eyes like stars and a gentle smile that made everyone around her feel happy. Everyone in the village loved her very much because she was kind, respectful, and helpful to everyone she came across. Each morning as she walked through the village, Efuna would greet the elders with a big smile and a cheerful voice. "Good morning, sir." "Good morning, Ma." Even the grumpiest elder would smile and nod whenever they see her. "That girl is a good girl," they often said. "Her heart shines like the morning sun," others would say. Other parents would often use Efua as a yardstick when rebuking their children for doing something wrong. "Can't you see Efu Nana? Can't you be like her? Have you ever seen Efu Nana fighting with the boys? Why don't you learn to be like her?" Efu Nana lived in a small warm house with her mother and father. Her mother was fondly called Mama Efwana by the villagers. She is a petty trader who sold food items in the village square. She was known all over the village for being beautiful and kind. People often said Efuna got her beauty and unique personality from her. Her father Chifok was one of the elders of the village. He was tall, proud, and strong. When he spoke, people listened. He loved Efwana with all his heart and often called her the joy of his old age. Efuna was his pride. But one fateful day, everything changed. If Nana, who always woke up early and sang as she worked, suddenly became very quiet. She was tired all the time, stopped smiling often, and lost her appetite. Sometimes she'd rush behind the house early in the morning, holding her stomach to vomit. It didn't take long before her mother noticed. Something didn't feel right. She observed Efuna for days. And one night when the moon was full and the atmosphere was very quiet, Mama Efuna entered her daughter's room and sat beside her daughter on the mat. She touched Efuna's hand gently and said, "My daughter, is there something you're not telling me? Are you sick? What is wrong with you?" "I am fine. I think I am just having a little fever and maybe malaria. But don't worry, I have taken some herbs already. I should be fine soon." Efuna answered with a weak smile on her face. But her mother wasn't convinced. So she moved even closer to Efua and observed her body carefully. "But this wouldn't be the first time you've had malaria or fever. Why is this one different?" Mama Efwana asked again. Yetta insisted that she was fine. "Mama, don't worry. I'll be fine. It's just stubborn malaria." The next morning, Efuna woke up feeling nauseous as usual. She clenched her stomach and ran out to vomit. But this time, her mother was outside the house when she did. Without hesitation, Mama Efuna took Efuna to the village physician, fearing the sickness was more serious than she had imagined. After a series of observations, the village physician called Mama Efuna aside and told her, "Mama Efuna, I don't know how else to say this. Your daughter is pregnant. She is 6 weeks pregnant." "What? You must be joking. You must have made a mistake. Please go and check her again. It is impossible. Pregnant? How? When? Where?" Mama Aoife screamed, finding it difficult to believe what the village physician said. A lot of questions ran through her mind at that very moment. When they went back home, Mama Efuna told her daughter what the doctor said. "You're pregnant, Efuna. Please tell me who is the father. How did this happen?" Tears welled up in Efwana's eyes, but she refused to say anything. She simply wiped her tears. All her mother's pleas to reveal who the father was fell on deaf ears. When Chief Oiki returned from the village meeting that morning, Mama Efuna told him about Efuna's pregnancy. She couldn't keep it a secret. Immediately after Chief Okiki heard the news, he stood up so fast that his chair fell over. His face turned red and anger overwhelmed him instantly. "Under my roof," he shouted. "My own daughter pregnant and she won't tell us who's responsible." Chief Oiki was furious. "She has brought shame to this family. She has brought shame to my name, Chief Oki," yelled. His voice was so loud that the birds flew off the trees. Soon, people began to gather outside the compound. The news traveled like wildfire, and in just a few minutes, Chief Oki's compound was like a crusade. People gathered out of curiosity. Some came because they were worried, while others came just to hear what the great Chief Oki would do. The neighbors started to whisper. Could it be someone from another village? Maybe she was tricked. But we've never seen her with any man. Who would have thought she was a snake? In the center of the yard, Efunana knelt down with her head bowed. Her eyes were full of tears and pain. Her mouth could barely form the words to beg her father. She was crying bitterly. Her father, Chief Okiki, stood before her with a long cane in his hand. But he didn't raise it. He only looked at her with a heart full of pain and pride. "You were the pride of this house," Chief Oiki said in a quiet, angry voice. "And now you have brought disgrace to my name. If you want to be a mother, you want to taste what adults taste, then go and live like one. From today, you're no longer my daughter. You're no longer welcome in this home." Gasps filled the air, and the crowd which had gathered began to murmur. Efuna's mother ran to kneel beside her daughter. "She is our only child. Please, my husband, don't send her away. Have mercy on her. Please." But Chief Oki turned his face away. His heart was heavy, but his mind was set. He refused to listen. In the heat of the moment, Chief Oki's best friend, Mr. Andrew, who had just returned from America a few months ago, arrived at the scene. "What is happening?" he asked with shock and confusion written all over his face. When he was told of Efu Nanya's pregnancy and her refusal to state who the man responsible is, he tried to plead on her behalf as well. But Chief Oki refused to listen to anyone. He shut his heart towards everyone. He went into the house and packed everything which belonged to Efua and threw it out at her. Then went into the house and locked the door. Efunana's mother helped to pack her clothes into a small nylon bag. She also gave her some money wrapped in a cloth, a little food, and a long hug. "My child," she said, holding Efunana's hand tight. "I love you. I am sorry. I wish I could go with you, but please tell me who is responsible for this pregnancy. If you do, your father might change his mind. He won't believe me. No one would believe me if I told you who touched me. They would all brand me a liar." Efuna answered with tears in her eyes as she walked away slowly on barefoot. She looked back once, but no one called her name. The villagers watched quietly. No one stopped her, not even the elders she used to assist, nor the people who once praised her. Instead, she could hear them whisper and murmur. "I thought she was different. A wolf in sheep clothing. I am glad my daughter didn't get too close to her. Who would have thought she was Ward?" And so, Efuna's journey into the unknown began. She walked past the market square, past the place where she once picked flowers as a child. A lot of questions were running through her mind. Where would she sleep that night? Would someone take her in? What would be her fate? The road stretched before her like a question with no answer. But even as the doubts filled her heart with fear, Efuna did not lose hope in herself. She walked and walked with no destination in mind. All she knew was that she could not go back. She passed a lot of people on the path, but no one asked her where she was going or if she was hungry or lost. When night fell, Efuna found herself in a town far, far away from Uzoma. It was very different. Busy and loud with wide streets and people rushing past in every direction. Some stared at her while others whispered to each other as they walked away. Efunana could feel her stomach rumbling with hunger. She found a small stall that was closed and sat in front of it. She brought out the nylon bag that contained the little food her mother had given her. It was a yam porridge, but it was slimy already. Yet, Efina had no choice but to eat the festering food like that. When she had finished eating, she was very tired. She slept in front of the stall and used the nylon which contained her clothes as a pillow. Then, she covered her feet with a wrapper. The next morning, Aoife woke up to the shock of her life. She saw a crowd gathered around her as if she had done something wrong. But of all the eyes darting at her, one of the women held a different expression in her eyes. "Who are you and what are you doing here?" the woman asked. With fear brewing in Aoife's heart, she quickly answered without thinking. "My name is Efuna. Please don't hurt me. My father chased me out of his house because I got pregnant out of wedlock." After she had said this, the crowd slowly dispersed until it was just the woman standing before her. The statement she made somehow caught the woman's attention. Aoife looked around, but the nylon bag that she had with her was missing. "You look tired and hungry. Everyone knows me as Mama Udu. Come with me. I will take care of you," Mama Udu said, stretching out her hand. Mama Udu looked so calm and compassionate, but still had doubts in her heart. "I don't have any money," Efuna quickly said. "I did not ask for money. I asked you to come. Do not worry about that. I once had children too. Let me take care of you," Mama Udu replied. If Nana picked her things and followed Mama Udu to her house. She did not know where they were going, but she did not feel afraid. Mama Udu's house was small. Just 2 tiny rooms with cracked walls, but it was warm and safe. It was better than sleeping out in the cold in an unknown town. Mama Udu's house became Efwana's new home. She took Efuna in as her own daughter and cared for her compassionately. If Nana had her own bed, and Mama Udu made sure she lacked nothing she needed. Every night, Mama Udu rubbed Efuna's feet with shea butter, gave her warm water for bath, and bought new clothes for her. It didn't take long before Efuna began to smile again. But even with the food, the kindness, and the safety, Efuna's heart remained a little broken. Sometimes she would sit quietly, holding her belly and looking out the small window at the stars. She thought about her mother's embrace. She remembered her father's angry voice. How he had abandoned and disowned her despite how much he had loved her. And though she said nothing, tears often filled her eyes. Like the wind, time flew past very quickly. And then, one rainy night, everything changed. Efuna was fast asleep when her baby kicked hard and the pain quickly began. Efuna cried out, "Mama Udu." Mama Udu jumped from her bed, rushed to Efuna's side, and tied her wrapper in a hurry. She held Efuna's hand, and with love in her eyes, she told her, "It is time to test your strength. Hold my hand and push. You are stronger than you know." The rain kept falling and the wind didn't stop howling when Efuna pushed. With all her might, she squeezed Mama Udu's hand. She cried, pushed, screamed. And before dawn, Efuna gave birth to a healthy, bouncing baby girl. They wrapped the child in an old wrapper. And when she cried for the first time, the sound filled the room with light. Efuna looked at the little face and whispered with a weak smile, "I will call you Adora because you're my joy, Mama." Udu smiled and placed the baby gently in Efuna's arms. Even as she held her baby close, Efuna's heart still felt heavy. She wished her parents, especially her mother, were there to witness and celebrate the moment with her. If Nana believed and felt she had finally found peace. And Mama Udu's little house felt like a place where nothing bad could reach her. She thought the storm had passed until one fateful night a month later. On that fateful night, the rain was falling gently outside. Adora was fast asleep on the bed, wrapped in a wrapper. And Efuna too had drifted asleep. But sometime after midnight, Efuna woke up to the sound of soft whispers coming from the other room. At first, she thought she was dreaming. But then she heard it again. Low voices like people trying not to be heard. She opened her eyes and her heart began to beat faster. She turned to Adora who was still peacefully asleep. Then quietly, very quietly. Efina got up, careful not to wake Adora. She tiptoed to the door and placed her ear against the thin door that separated her from the other room. And she held her breath as she listened. "She's a healthy baby," said Mama Udu in a hushed voice. "The baby is very beautiful, and the mother is very young. In fact, no one is looking for her. She has no family. Not anymore." Efu Nana's eyes widened and her knees grew weak. Then a strange, deep, unfamiliar male voice replied. 500,000 naira. That's all I can offer. Mama Udu scoffed under her breath. "Ah, no. Alhaji, it is too small. You know this child will grow up fine. Let's make it 650,000 naira. Then you add a bag of rice for me. You can have the baby tomorrow night." Efu Nana froze where she stood. She couldn't breathe or move. Her heart sank. They were talking about her daughter, Ada. Mama Udu was trying to sell her baby. Efuna leaned closer, her hands trembling. Through a small crack in the wooden door, she peeped into the room and saw him. A rich-looking man dressed in a shining white native attire and a gold wristwatch. Counting money with calm, greedy fingers. And Mama Udu, the woman who had rubbed her feet, who had taken care of her and promised her that she was safe, was sitting there smiling, bargaining, and betraying. If Nana covered her mouth to stifle a cry, her eyes welled up with tears, and her heart was racing. Suddenly, her baby, Adora, began to cry, and Efua rushed over to lie beside Adora, pretending to be asleep. She curled up beside her baby, holding her close and rocking her, whispering prayers into her tiny ears. "No one will take you from me," she said again and again. No one. And just like before, when she had walked away from her father's house with nothing but hope and fear, Nana knew what she had to do. She had to run. When the morning sun rose, Efina was already far from Mama Udu's house. She had left before the first rooster crowed, with her baby wrapped tightly to her chest while Mama Udu was still fast asleep. If Ananana walked and walked without looking back, she walked for hours asking for directions to the nearest town. Her feet were sore and her stomach growled. Adora cried from hunger, too, and Efina would stop at intervals to breastfeed her. The sun climbed higher and hotter. But Efina continued until finally she arrived at the next town. But unlike the previous town, this one was very busy and noisy. Everyone minded their own business, and everything moved fast. Efuna found a quiet spot by a street sign and sat down to rest with her baby. She had nowhere to go and knew no one. While she sat, she rocked Adora, whispering lullabies with trembling lips. Her eyes were full of tears. "God, are you still watching us?" Efua asked the sky. After resting for a few minutes, Efina stood up to leave. She was tired, hungry, and thirsty. She went into the market, going from stall to stall, begging softly for just a little water. But some vendors ignored her while others chased her away. If Nana felt deeply hurt, so she went back to sit by the roadside. That was when a well-dressed man stopped beside her. He wore neat clothes and shiny shoes. His face was smooth, and he had an innocent smile. He looked at Efina kindly. "Good afternoon," he said. "Why are you sitting by the roadside with your baby under this hot sun?" Efuna looked at him with tired, teary eyes. "I have no one. I'm just trying to survive." The man looked around and then sat beside her. "You're too beautiful and too young to suffer like this," he said. "Come with me. I'll help you. I have a place you can stay. You and your baby will be safe. The streets are dangerous for a young lady like you." Ifa hesitated. Her heart trembled. Her eyes studied his face as she recalled her experience with Mama Udu, who almost sold her daughter for money. Could she trust him? He didn't look like a bad person. Still, her heart whispered, "Be careful." But she was tired and hungry. And maybe, just maybe, this was the answer to her whispered prayers. "Are you sure I will be safe?" Efuna asked him weakly. "I am not like the others," the man replied, smiling again. You will be okay. Efuna followed him until they reached where he parked his car. After they entered, he took Efua and her daughter to a small flat at the edge of town. It was clean and quiet. Inside one of the rooms in the flat, there was a soft rug on the floor, a small ceiling fan, and a sweet fragrance in the air. There was also a big bed to sleep on. He gave Efuna warm food and ran a clean bath for Adora. He also brought out baby wrappers with flower prints. When Efuna had eaten, she took a bath and slept for hours. And when she finally woke up, she came out of the room to see the men in the living room watching a TV program. She went to where he was and fell to her knees, thanking the men deeply for his benevolence and care towards her. The men simply smiled and asked her to sit down. He introduced himself as Anthony, a businessman. He asked to hear Efuna's story and she told him. He was moved to tears as he watched Efuna weep while narrating her ordeal. Anthony assured Efuna that everything would be all right and she believed him. For 3 months, everything seemed fine. Aoife got new clothes from Anthony. And he was also kind towards Adora. Ifunana took the duty of a housemaid. She always made sure the house was clean. She washed Anani's clothes, washed the car, and also cooked as well. At first, everything seemed perfect. Anthony often bought Efua things and always asked if she was okay. But in the 4th month, everything began to change. Efuna began to notice things. The way Anthony looked at her whenever she bent to pick up Adora in his presence. His eyes would linger on her and he would smile at her in a strange way. At night when she went to her room, she would hear his footsteps pause outside her door, lingering. Sometimes when she was washing clothes outside, she would notice Anthony standing at the window just staring at her, saying nothing. Ifunana felt that something wasn't right anymore. She began locking the door to her room at night. And she also held Adora, her daughter, a little closer and always slept with one eye open. On one fateful night, just after Adora had fallen asleep, Iphania sat on the bed, brushing her hair with her fingers. Suddenly, she felt someone trying to open the door to her room. It was locked, so she felt safe. But she was overwhelmed with shock when the door began to unlock itself. Soon after, the door creaked open and Anthony stepped into her room with a strange smile. "You're still awake?" Efuna asked, trying to hide her discomfort and growing fear. But Anthony sat beside her on the bed without saying a word. Then he turned to face her and tried to hold her chin. Efuna moved away, but Anthony persisted. "It's been over 3 months now. Haven't you rested enough? I have taken good care of you and your baby, even though she isn't mine. I have provided all you needed. Isn't it time for you to take care of me too?" Anthony told her in a cold voice. Aoife stood up and grabbed sleeping Adora with both arms. "Please," she whispered. "You said we were safe here." Anthony stood up, walked towards the door and locked it. "In this town, nothing goes for nothing. You are wise and old enough to know better," Anthony told her, and he slowly approached her. "I have scratched your back when you were in need. Now you have to scratch mine as well." In that moment, Ifana understood why Anthony had been so kind to her and Adora. She understood something new. She saw how monsters wore soft clothes, how wolves could wear smiles, and how danger sometimes looked like kindness. But she was no longer the same scared girl. Not after her experience with Mama Udu. Suddenly, the doorbell to the front door rang. Anthony ignored it at first, approaching Efwana slowly. But when the visitor continued ringing it persistently, Anthony became enraged. He unlocked the door out of anger to go check who it was and locked Efua inside the room. In his rage, he forgot that Efuna had a key of her own to the room. As soon as he left, Efua quickly unlocked the door, grabbed Adora, and ran out through the back door. She didn't think twice. She ran barefooted into the dark streets, clutching Adora with all her strength. She wouldn't stop crying as she ran, her wrapper flapping like wings, her heart pounding like a drum. She ran through streets she didn't know, past closed shops and sleeping houses. She didn't stop until she saw a church compound with a broken gate. When she got there, she fell to her knees and started crying bitterly. A dog started barking from the side of the house, and soon a woman appeared, typing her wrapper tighter, with a bright torchlight in her hand. As soon as she saw Efina, she ran towards her with worry and concern written all over her face. "My dear," the woman cried, "what happened? Whose child is this?" But Efina couldn't speak. She was too exhausted to form the words. She simply fell unconscious beside her baby, Adora. The next morning, Efina woke up in a soft bed with clean white sheets. As soon as she woke up, she looked around frantically, searching for her baby, Adora. That was when the door to the room opened, and a woman entered. The same woman who had found her the night before. People called her Mommy Peace, the pastor's wife. She had kind eyes, rough palms, and a voice as soft as morning bread. "I see you're awake. Your baby is fine. You have nothing to worry about," she said. "I'll bring her to you." She left the room again and returned this time with Adora dressed in beautiful soft clothes. Mommy Peace gave Efina hot water to bathe and also made her a bowl of rice and stew. "If you have nowhere to go," Mommy Peace said softly as Efina ate, "then this place can be your home for now." And for the first time in many months, Efina truly smiled. She felt at peace in the church, unlike when she was with Mama Udu or Anthony. Efina told Mommy Peace her story and she felt deeply sorry for her. When the church sisters heard her story, they brought wrappers, baby soap, a feeding bottle, and even diapers. It was the first time since her father's house that she felt truly loved. Slowly, the pieces of her life began to come together again. Mommy Peace taught Efina how to bake small cakes and buns. Efina listened carefully, eager to learn. And soon she was waking early to mix flour, sugar, and eggs. Efina baked with joy while her baby slept on her back. A few weeks later, she began selling pastries outside the church gate after Sunday service. People loved her meat pies and soft chin-chin. Her hands were gifted. "Efina, you are doing well," Mommy Peace said one day with a proud smile. "I see light in you." And truly, light was beginning to shine through her again. Everyone in the church loved her just as the people of her village loved her. Before she got pregnant, they enjoyed being around her, and everyone admired her deeply. Weeks turned into months and months into years, and Adora grew up slowly into a beautiful daughter. Meanwhile, back at Efina's village, silence had crept into the once lively compound of Chief Okiki. The compound that once echoed with laughter, greetings, and the proud footsteps of an elder now sounded like an empty drum. The flowers near the veranda had wilted, and the paint on the walls had begun to peel. Mama Nana no longer smiled the way she used to. Her back was more bent, and her eyes always looked far away, as if listening for a voice that never came. She had not heard from her daughter since she was sent away. But she never gave up hope. Hidden in the drawer of her wooden box, she had a small worn calendar. Every month, she quietly marked the date with red ink. 1 month gone, 2 months, 1 year, 2 years, and still no word from Efina. Yet, she believed that Efina was safe and that she would return. If Nana's father, Chief Okiki, had changed, too, but not because he missed his daughter. Although he now regretted his decision that day. Chief Okaki's fall came through his longtime best friend, Mr. Andrew, whom everyone believed had returned from America. Mr. Andrew was a man with a loud laugh and too many promises. One hot afternoon, Mr. Andrew came to Chief Oki's house, slapping him on the back like a brother with big promises and a business proposal. "My friend, I want you to invest in this business," Mr. Andrew said. "It is big money and fast returns. You wouldn't need to work a day in your life ever again. Trust me, that is what I do also." And Chief Oiki trusted him. He sold his cocoa farm. He sold 2 family lands near the stream. He even borrowed a huge sum of money from other chiefs to complete the deal. He believed he was growing richer by the hour. But there was no business, only fake papers and empty numbers. And then one day, before anyone could blink, Mr. Andrew vanished, gone with all the money. The news traveled fast in the village. And the people whispered and laughed in secret. Some didn't even hide it. The mighty chief has fallen, they said, smirking. Where is his red cap now? Even yam sellers are richer than him. Chief Oki. The men who once walked with a proud cane, now leaned on an old stick, begging for food from those he once ignored. His cheeks were hollow, and his eyes were now sunken. He no longer sat in the council of elders. He stopped coming out for village meetings out of shame. Even the children pointed and giggled whenever he passed. Only one person remained by his side. Mama Efuna, his wife. But she was growing weaker every day, even though her spirit was still strong. She did not speak much. She only sat beside her husband and watched as if waiting for hope. It had been 2 years since Efwana was chased out of the village. Then one dry afternoon, Enji, an old friend of Mama Efuna, came to the broken compound after returning from the city on a business trip. She placed her hand on Mama Efuna's shoulder and said, "I saw your daughter in the city." For the first time in a long time, Mama Efuna looked up and smiled with eagerness and curiosity in her heart. She asked a dozen questions all at the same time. How is she? Where is she? How is her baby? What is she doing? Nosei laughed and told her friend to relax. She is fine and your granddaughter is fine as well. We met in a very busy market, so we didn't have time to talk much. Nosei explained. The story spread throughout the village like wildfire on dry grass. Some said it can't be her. She must have died in the city. Others said, maybe she is a prostitute now. The city is full of temptations. How else did she survive? But Mama Efuna didn't care about the rumors circulating. She was only happy that her daughter survived. Back in the city, one Sunday after church, as Efuna was packing up her tray of leftover buns, a quiet woman in an expensive gown walked over to her. She wore soft perfume and elegant sandals. Her jewelry sparkled, but her eyes were calm. You remind me of who I used to be, the woman told Efua in a gentle voice. Efuna looked up at her, surprised. My name is Auntie Clara. I've been watching you. You carry yourself like a queen, even in struggle. That is very rare. You have a future, my dear. A bright one. Auntie Clara slipped a card into Efuna's hand. If you ever want to do more than bake under the sun, call me. I help young women like you to achieve greatness. You don't have to suffer to succeed. Her words deeply touched Efuna. But she wasn't so sure she could trust Auntie Clara. The next Sunday, Auntie Clara came again. She bought all the pastries without asking for change. She sat beside Efwana and asked questions about her dreams. You're very beautiful, she said. You could go far. Don't let this little life hold you back. Aoife felt drawn to her. Mommy Peace also noticed Auntie Clara, but she said nothing. The church women equally noticed, but only whispered. Auntie Clara has money, one of them said. She helps people sometimes, but no one really knows her story. After many visits to Efuna at the church, Auntie Clara invited Efuna to her house, and she obliged. It was a mansion with shining doors, fancy curtains, and expensive perfume in the air. Adora laughed as she crawled and struggled to stand erect on the soft rugs. This could be your life, Auntie Clara said with a smile. Let me help you build it. But what Aoife didn't know was that Auntie Clara was not who she appeared to be. But she was soon to find out. Behind Auntie Clara's soft words and sweet smile, she ran a dark world, a secret business. And now she had her eyes on Efuna. Many other ladies lived with Auntie Clara. Each of them had their own room in the mansion while some of them shared a room. Each time Efuna visited Auntie Clara, she also associated with the girls. But beneath the sweetness, she noticed something else. Something strange about the girls. The way they laughed too loudly. How their smiles didn't reach their eyes. And how they wore beautiful clothes and golden jewelry, but never looked truly free. She also noticed it in Auntie Clara's voice, which was sweet like honey, but always pressing, always selling dreams. Do you want a better life? Auntie Clara would always ask with a smile that never blinked. Rich men and women don't ask questions. They just do whatever is necessary. You're too pretty to waste your time baking in the sun. Money answers everything, my dear. At first, it sounded like help, like hope. But slowly, it didn't feel like an opportunity anymore. It felt like a trap. Then one fateful evening, Efina visited Auntie Clara with her daughter. But it was already very late into the night. So Auntie Clara insisted that she spent the night. That day after Efina had rocked Adora to sleep, she sat and thought deeply about all that Auntie Clara had said over the weeks. After thinking for a while, she decided to ignore all the signs and give Auntie Clara a chance in her life. But before she went to bed, she was feeling thirsty and decided to step out to get some water. When she stepped into the hallway, it was very quiet. While she walked to the kitchen where the fridge was, she heard a voice, a giggle. It was Auntie Clara speaking sharply on the phone. Her voice was low but very clear. Yes, Senator. She's very fresh. She's barely 25. Innocent face, soft skin. You will like her. Yes, this weekend. I'm still convincing her. I'll handle the rest. Efina froze. Every hair on her skin stood. She clutched the wall for balance as her heart pounded. She remembered how Mama Udu almost sold her daughter, Adora. She remembered Anthony, the man who had lured her with kindness and tried to take advantage of her. She remembered running through the streets with Adora in her hands with nothing but fear in her chest. And now this, another woman, another mask, another lie. Aoife realized that Auntie Clara was a wolf in sheep's clothing. She trained desperate young girls and introduced them to powerful politicians who paid large sums for their bodies. That's how she became rich. And now she wanted her to join their scheme. If Nana tiptoed back to her room, locked the door, and picked up her phone. With trembling hands, she sent a voice message to Mommy Peace telling her all that she heard. But the next day, Efina didn't leave. She decided to risk her life to save the other girls caught in Auntie Clara's web end. Those who would fall victim to her schemes. Efina gathered evidence of Auntie Clara's involvement, recording her phone calls and documenting the luxurious cars that came to pick up the girls. 3 days later, Efina promised Auntie Clara that she had decided to do what needed to be done. But she needed to head to the church and get some of her belongings and also thank Mommy Peace for all that she's done for her. Auntie Clara believed Aoife and allowed her to leave. But one day later, the internet shook. A video went viral. It was Efina with no makeup or filters, just her honest face. She sat in a small office, her voice clear and her eyes wet, burning with courage as she spoke. My name is Efina OK. 3 years ago, I was thrown out of my home because I got pregnant. I almost died on the streets, but I survived. And now I must speak. I've encountered a woman named Auntie Clara who claims to offer assistance to young women. However, I've discovered that her operation involves facilitating connections between these women and influential individuals, including politicians, businessmen, and religious leaders. I have first-hand knowledge and evidence of her activities. Efina shared voice recordings and secret videos. The world listened. Celebrities cried over it. Journalists tracked the details. Human rights groups reached out and Auntie Clara vanished overnight. As soon as the news broke in less than 6 months, Efina's life became something she never imagined. People from all over the country sent her money. Some sent messages. You are brave. You saved my sister. You gave me the courage not to give up. Efina used the money gifts she received wisely. She opened her own pastry business. Not just a roadside tray, but a full company, which she named after her daughter, Adora's Bites. Efina's brand grew fast because of her popularity. Her meat pies were ordered for grand weddings. Her cakes were featured in magazines. She trained professionally and soon employed other single mothers, paid them well, and treated them with love. If Nana became known across the city, not just for her baking, but also for her bravery. She became rich, well-respected, and free. Adora started attending one of the best schools in the city. Efuna no longer cried at night. But sometimes when she looked at the stars, she still thought about home. About her mother and father. Exactly 3 years after Efuna was chased away from home by her father, she was invited to a very lavish wedding. The wedding of a friend she had met when she was still living with Mummy Peace at the church. She was invited not just as a guest, but also as a special pastry vendor and guest of honor. Adora's Bites, now one of the most respected pastry brands in the city, had crafted the wedding cake. A 5-step masterpiece rising like a temple in the center of the hall, gaining attraction. As Aoife walked into the hall, people turned to look at her. Beside her, Adora followed proudly in a matching dress. Is that the cake woman? She looks more beautiful in person. Everything around the hall was perfect. But Nana was about to get the shock of her life. As she stepped closer into the hall, her eyes went to the couple's throne on the raised stage. And just beside it, she saw a large printed banner with a smiling photo of the bride. But when she looked at the other end of the banner, she saw the face of the groom. And just like that, her body froze. Aoife's heart jumped, her legs locked, and her fingers curled into her palms. Because she recognized the groom's face. It was Mr. Andrew, her father's best friend. He was older now and wrinkled. But he was still wearing that same fake fatherly smile. The man who had ruined her life. If Anna's head began to spin, and just then her friend, the bride, came up to her smiling. Efu, you didn't tell me you were this early. Come and see. Her friend paused when she saw how frozen was. She looked at Efanagina closely and asked, "What's the matter, Efanagina?" Efanagina took a deep breath and blinked. Tears welled up in her eyes and her hand trembled. "Please, what's wrong?" the bride asked again, placing a hand on Efuna's shoulder. Efuna looked at her softly and then spoke. "If I tell you something," Efuna said, "will you believe me?" "Of course," the bride replied, smiling. Efuna swallowed, tears already forming at the corners of her eyes. She turned slightly so that Adora wouldn't hear. "That man, the one on the banner. Mr. Andrew, when I was a teenager. He used to visit our house. He was my father's best friend, a constant visitor. He came with gifts, advice, and charm. Everyone trusted him. My father said he was like a brother from America." Nana took a deep breath and continued. "He used to tell me I was beautiful. That I had a bright future, that he could take me to America. He called me special, said he would help me become great. But then one day he came to our house when my parents weren't home. I thought he came to see my father, but that was the day's voice trembled." She shut her eyes briefly, then faced her friend. "He hurt me. He crossed the line and did something terrible. After that, he warned me to keep quiet. He said no one would believe me. He even said he would harm my parents if I spoke out." A heavy, deep silence fell between them. The bride took a slow step back and pressed her hand to her lips. If she whispered, trembling, "Are you saying Mr. Andrew, my fiancé, is Isadora's father?" If Nana nodded her head once, I was too young, too ashamed. I kept quiet to protect my family and because I knew what people would say. I knew they would protect him, not me. I've carried this secret for years, not because I was weak, but because I wanted to protect my mother and daughter." The bride didn't say a word. She took one last look at the stage at Mr. Andrew. Her fiancé laughing with guests. Surrounded by praise. And then, without a word, she turned and walked away. The celebration didn't end the way anyone expected. By sunset, the wedding had been quietly cancelled. The bride never returned to the stage. She wept openly in her dressing room, her hands shaking as her friends tried to console her. And later that night, police officers walked through the crowd toward Mr. Andrew. Mr. Andrew Igwe," they called. Mr. Andrew looked up mid-conversation. "Yes, you are under arrest for the abuse and exploitation of a minor. You have the right to remain silent." The crowd gasped and people brought out their phones to record the moment. Mr. Andrews' friends stepped away from him and the police officers cuffed him in front of business partners, politicians, and elders who once praised his name. By morning, the news went viral. The headlines read, "Billionaire groom exposed. Young entrepreneur reveals shocking truth about her child's birth. Mr. Andrew arrested for abuse and misconduct." Television stations replayed the footage of Efina's calm, tearful confession. Blogs quoted her story word for word. Soon, women across the country began sharing their own hidden experiences. And far away in Efunana's village, her parents saw the news and the whispers began again. Everyone remembered the morning Chief OK chased Efuna out of the house and how Mr. Andrew, the culprit, said nothing at the time. The truth was finally out at last. 1 week later, a black SUV rolled into the village of Uzoma. People peeked from their windows, while children abandoned their games to chase the car. Then the car slowed when it got to the compound of Chief OK and the doors opened. Efuna stepped out wearing a beautiful gown. From the other side of the car, Adora jumped down holding a tiny handbag. "Mama Efwana." A neighbor called out into the house. "Come and see something with your eyes." Efina's mother stepped out of the house and froze when she saw Efina. Her hands flew to her mouth. "Efunana." She gasped. "Mama." Efuna answered, her voice thick with tears. "I'm home." Efunana held her mother in a tight embrace, weeping loudly as villagers gathered around. Adora held her grandmother's wrapper. Then Chief Ukiki came out. His beard was now gray with sagging shoulders. He looked like a shadow of his former self. "You, Chief OK," began, but his voice broke midway. Efuna walked closer to him. "I guess you know the truth now, Papa." Efunana said, tears in her eyes. "I kept quiet all these years because you would never have believed me. Mr. Andrew, the man whom you called your brother, he's Adora's father." The crowd gasped in shock and surprise. "I didn't tell you because I knew you'd choose him over me." Efuna continued. Chief Oki dropped to his knees. "Forgive me, Efua." He wept. "I failed you. I cursed you when I should have protected you. I chased away my own blood and I paid the price in full." Efuna knelt and lifted him up. "I forgive you, Papa," she said. "That's why I came back." She opened her purse and handed him some documents. It was a deed of land bought in his name, and a second one for her mother, and evidence that she had cleared all the debts her father had incurred. Because of Mr. Andrew, she had restored her family's lost glory. "I am no longer the girl you threw away," she said gently. "I am the woman you created through fire. And I came home, not with bitterness, but with healing." Her father looked down at the documents with trembling hands. He held Adora close and kissed her tiny forehead. "Grandpa," Adora said, blinking. "Are you crying?" Chief Okiki laughed through tears and the village sang that night. Not for a chief but for a daughter who became a queen. Months passed and in the village of Uzoma, the once broken compound of Chief Okiki now echoed with joy again. Chief Okiki no longer walked with pride, but with humility, always nodding and greeting the people he once ignored. He had learned, he had lost, and he had been given a second chance. Mama Ifa, stronger and happy now, helped her daughter run a branch of Adora's Bites in the village of Uzoma. Every morning, the scent of meat pies and coconut buns floated through the air. And Efuna, she became more than a name. She became a movement. She started a foundation for abused girls and single mothers, building shelters, funding schools, and giving voice to the voiceless. She never wore a crown, but she ruled in the hearts of many. A girl who was kicked out with nothing but returned with everything. Mama Udu was eventually arrested for child trafficking and Anthony got what he deserved. He picked up a girl from the street. But when he attempted to take advantage of her, She stabbed him with a sharp object in his scrotum and ran away. Here's the moral of the story. Never judge a person's story by the chapter you walked in on. People make mistakes, but that doesn't mean their story ends there. Everyone deserves a chance to grow, learn, and rise again. Silence protects the abuser. But truth, though painful, brings freedom. If Nana's silence was out of fear and pain. But when she found the courage to speak, it didn't just heal her, it saved others, too. The people we throw away are often the same ones who return to lift us up. The daughter they rejected became the one who restored their name, cleared their debts, and brought peace to a broken home. Every fall is a lesson. Every betrayal a test. But healing is a choice. This story teaches us that pain doesn't have to define us. What matters is what we do after the pain. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What did this story teach you? Please drop your thoughts in the comment section. I enjoy reading every single one of them. There's another very interesting story coming your way in just a few days. So, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification bell so you'll be the first to know when it drops. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. Someone out there may need to hear this. Thank you so much for watching to the end. See you in the next story.